Well, it's about 9 PM on Wednesday the 9th of July. I just dropped my mum off in London and drove back home after a couple of days traipsing around the Cotswolds and things, and before that we were traipsing around North Norfolk and bits and pieces, the Broads. So videoing has kind of taken a back seat, and so has editing, but we'll see. I'll still try and get out those weekly videos, I guess. So by now, getting to this one, we'll find out if I got to the other ones. I had no footage from the weekend. We've just popped down here to water after a couple of warm days away. Most things are doing okay. I don't even know if I covered the fact that we'd planted these beans and stuff. We planted the beans with the family, my sister, her partner, and a couple of little kids, and mum. But we have just harvested some zucchinis. They are going gangbusters right now. The pumpkins are flying along. Look at that. They're sort of trying to invade the other plot. I've been bending their little tendrils away from there, so they're sort of mainly staying on our side. I've got the water on down there at the moment, giving everything a good drink. But most things are looking pretty good. I think they've got their roots down, and there's plenty of moisture in the soil here. We had some good rains recently, so it's only the new plants that have really needed the watering. I mean, even the greenhouse we got back, I was expecting to see lots of wiltiness in there, but no, except for these poor things up there. Unsurprisingly, they're probably pretty doomed at this point. They are. Look at those long chilies. Oop. They're Thunder Mountain Longhorns. So we're actually going to get a crop off that poor thing. But otherwise, things are looking pretty good in here. And there are plenty of other chilies forming, especially on the non-super hot plants. The super hots, not sure if there's anything just forming there yet. I haven't looked closely. But some of these plants are looking beautiful. Especially this. Look at this variegated one from Chili Chump. That fruit down there. That's pretty amazing. But we'll do a more focus on the chilies another day. So Kat has been doing a bit of a harvest, and we are finding, unusually, a bit of animal damage on our zucchinis, or courgettes. Well, that's our first tomatillo, nice and fat in there. You can feel that. That's the full width of that pod, that tomatillo. A few field beans, some raspberries. The beetroot are going gangbusters. I haven't done a succession of them, unfortunately, though. We still have time to squeeze a beetroot succession in, of course. These bits and pieces, a couple of pumpkins at the back, and these cucumbers at the front seem to have taken. Seem to be taking it okay in there. Taking it okay? I don't know what I'm saying, but they seem to be okay in there. Is the point. Still haven't fixed this pear tree. It needs to be pinned back to these beams I put in here, and this fruit is just looking ridiculous. Look at that branch; it's so weighted down. I think I might have to thin these fruit. I think that's got to be what I should do. I haven't looked into it, but we've just set so much fruit on these trees this year. It's been insane. The polytunnel, the tomatoes are just ridiculous. I think they've grown a foot in the 2 days we've been away, possibly more. I'm not even going to try and get through this pear tree. That's just a bit mad, really, isn't it? I'm going to go around the long way. So yeah, there's not much else going on back here. These asparagus we rescued from the other plot are looking a bit spindly. Still not convinced by that asparagus rescue, or using this as an asparagus bed in general. But they're doing okay. And then a few weeds. The bloody bindweed is just being a bastard this year, unsurprisingly. And no matter what I do, this rhubarb just wants to flower. There is a path down there. Would you believe it? The potatoes are doing well. The Vera, I think the variety is. Pity about the other potatoes, but oh well. We might still get them in and get a late harvest. This is our supposedly good asparagus bed, and I've mentioned it before, and it's not looking great. Oh, these poor onions need some water, don't they? Oh well. But yeah, so the shiso, that Kat put in the other day is looking good. So are the parsnips. They're looking pretty good down there too. And this is the end of the broad beans. They're not looking great, and I'm actually pretty grossed out by this. I don't know what's going on here. Look at them. They've all gone dark and split open. Is there some sort of disease going on in these field beans? So the ones with the leaves still on the right, they're the field beans, and these were the broad beans, and they're definitely gone and over. It looks like blight. It's like, is there a broad bean blight? Look at that black. This Darth ladybug. Oh, it's gone. There's a very black ladybug on there. But yeah, they're not looking fantastic. A bit worried about them. It's interesting. But oh well. And look at this Bug City up here. That's why I haven't just immediately pulled out these rhubarb flowers. It is teeming with little flies, wasps, I guess. Loads and loads of ladybugs. It's just Bug City on here. Crazy. Oh, there's a nice little hoverfly down there. So yeah, so the rhubarb flowers are staying for now. Oh, it's been a long day. I'm not talking very clearly, I know. Been a long day on the road. But yeah, anyway, I should wrap up now, really. These are the cucumbers. We bashed them in the other day because they needed planting. We need to put some sort of frame in for them. Here's a nicely flowering lettuce. In our tours recently of National Trust properties and the like, we've seen a lot of flowering lettuce. A lot of lettuce used as a decorative, which is pretty cool. And oh yeah, and there's the celeriac over there. Raymond Blanc would not be impressed by our tiny celeriac crop, but oh well. We watched some Raymond Blanc with Mum the other day. He was well into his celeriac. But yeah, that's it. Oh, and this pear tree too. It's doing well. I didn't cover the ume up the back, but the few fruit on the left-hand tree seem to have gone. But there's still some fruit on that right-hand tree. We may need to protect them or pick them early, which may be okay for the pickling. I'm not sure. But yeah, that's it. It's home time. And hopefully we'll be back on track this weekend with a good harvest. Well, it's not a good harvest. I'm looking at the harvest. Cat just brought it down the front behind me. I mean with a good bit of allotment work to get more done down here. Okay, right. And with that, I shall retreat. About to say retweet. Got a lisp. But anyway, there we go. Nice big final pan out across the side. So as I have not much content for this week, I thought I'd put together a little montage of our trip around England with our family, mostly with Mum. My sister and her family were only with us for a little while. But, this is Brancaster Staith. We were showing the family a typical English foreshore where it's mostly mud. A bit different to our sandy beaches back home in Western Australia. This was very low tide, so the mud was especially on display up on the Norfolk coast. This is right in the middle. But yeah, this is quite a different piece of scenery as far as coast goes for us. If you can hear funny noise in the background, that's my 3D printer going. Printing some little cones that are part of a support system for tomatillos and chilies, which I'll go into more detail later, in a later video. Seaside scenes, though we then move to a more I guess a more picturesque piece of sea. They're both picturesque, but a more traditional bit of seaside with the Hunstanton Old Beach with the cliffs, which we stayed well away from. They look quite dangerous. This is over in Hickling Broad, in the Broads, so we went over to the Broads with Mum. These photos aren't in any particular order. They're just in the order I decided they worked together in, but not in time order. Anyway, now over in the Norfolk Broads, we met a black swan, which is interesting because that's native to Western Australia. But I don't think it travelled all the way. It's escaped from somewhere nearby, is what the Wildlife Trust guy reckons, who gave us this little tour around the area in the boat, looking at some interesting bits of this of Hickling Broad. So this is Ely Cathedral, which was quite amazing. I've never been inside before, but Mum follows someone on social media who posts pictures from the Ely area and was very interested. And you can't help but be amazed by these buildings. I mean, it took something like 100 years to build the original, and then it has been sort of added to and renovated so many times in history. Now this I found particularly interesting. It's a heating unit, a Victorian steam heater, I think. And this guy reminds me of my dad on the couch, though I'm not sure about that tiny horse. The horse is a bit weird. But yeah, it's an amazing building. It was well worth a visit. And then we're off to another old religious building. This is an abbey, Castle Acre Abbey, which is mostly just a ruin. And then we're off to Bennett Abbey, back to the Broads for this one. And this one, well, this construction's quite amazing. It's the old gateway to the abbey, which they have built a 19th century mill around it as part of the structure, or they've made it part of the structure. It makes for quite an unusual picture. That was pretty cool. The rest of the abbey is not there really. There's just some low walls up on a hill. So this was the most interesting part of that. And then we're off to Littlecote. This is sort of south of the Cotswolds, where we looked at a nice Roman mosaic. The bonus of this place is it's free, which is rare, given that we've paid 15 quid or more for a lot of the things we've had to see on our little touristing trip. But I guess it pays for the upkeep, and that's worthwhile. But it doesn't make for a cheap day out, that's for sure. Anyway, Silbury Hill is quite famous. So we're sort of going back in time. I guess the Roman period was about 500 AD or a bit before that. That's when the Roman period ended. I shouldn't really talk about history. I'm no historian. And then this goes back another couple of thousand years, I think, which is pretty amazing. What's even more amazing to me is the fact that the Avebury Stone Circle, which this picture is from, is then even older than that by another couple of thousand years or something. So yeah, it's pretty cool to dive into that deep history for someone from Australia especially. I mean, we have our deep history from the Australian First Peoples, of course, but it's not as in your face as these monuments, though it is from a lot longer ago. Okay, so here we're going over to East Ruston Vicarage Garden, which we've seen on Gardener's World, I think a couple of times at least. It was a pretty impressive garden. Actually, of all the gardens we've seen, I think that's number one for me. An amazing place. And this is their collection of vintage tools. There's some jokes in there, I'm sure. But the tools also were quite interesting, and I had a hard time resisting buying a couple. But I don't really need vintage tools in my life. I've got enough non-vintage tools as it is. Now we're scooting over to more of a Midlands area with Lyveden Manor, or Lyveden. I'm not sure how it's pronounced. The woman at the gate wasn't either. But this is actually not the manor. This is the lodge, which was a building that was never finished. And the family got in some trouble with the royalty because they were Catholics and they were Protestants, and I don't know, some more history stuff. But it's pretty cool that the building still exists, considering it was never finished. The buildings themselves are pretty impressive, of course, but I love these little nooks and crannies. I mean, what was this? Something to do with heating? My first thought was a toilet, but then there's nowhere for it to go, so probably not. It looks like like there could have been a little bread oven or something down here. The manor is there as well, and also some great sort of moated area, and the orchard, which is newly planted, well, modern planted, I guess is the word to say. There was a whole corridor of walnut trees there, which is the most walnut trees I've seen in one place ever, and they all had a great looking crop on them, but unfortunately they're not nearby us that we can go and scrump a few walnuts, but we do have some locally we might be able to get, and Kat has grabbed a harvest from one of the local orchards before. Not a commercial orchard, just a sort of a generally accessible one. Oh yes, and I bought this book. I've been looking for a book on pruning for a while, and I looked in a few shops. I never found one that I really liked the look of. I was specifically looking for one that also covered quinces, which doesn't seem to be something that's covered very often. This book covers quinces. That was just a really lucky find in the shop. It actually just sat on a shelf in the cafe in this National Trust site. And then all around this area, we thought we were seeing lavender in the distance, but it's actually Phacelia, or some sort of fiddle or something. But yeah, it was just fields of it, and I've not really noticed that before. I don't know if that's a new thing that's being done on farms these days, or if I've just not really been paying attention. But it was cool to see these whole fields of purple. Now this one is supposedly Shakespeare's birthplace's backyard. I am dead certain it never looked like that when he was born, assuming he was born there, and all of that, who knows. But yeah, it was fun to go around and sort of see some of these big sites that, despite nearly 20 years in the UK, we haven't really gone and looked at the big touristy tick boxes that often. Anyway, we ended up back at the Allotment, of course. Had a barbecue there, so it was good to squeeze in an Allotment barbecue. And this last little video is from the Welney Wildlife Trust site. I was just fascinated by the fact that there were these wasps crowding around little cracks in this, I think it was a willow tree. There are other willow trees nearby, but they didn't have these clusters of wasps on them, so I'm not quite sure what's going on there. But anyway, that's enough of that, and we shall cut back to the proper video. It's a mole hole inside the polytunnel. Not a big fan of that, really. It's about 7:30, the Thursday, the 10th of July. I've nipped straight down here after work, after picking Cat up at the house and some tools and things. And this is just a quick trip, hopefully fairly quick. Main job is going to be thinning these pears off. Cat found a reference about doing that on the RHS website, so we're going to roughly follow their recommendations and get these thinned out. Should have been done a bit earlier than this. They did say to do it by mid-July, so we're getting it done by mid-July. And we're also making sure they've got some water in the ground around them. We have some pretty glorious weather at the moment. Not so glorious for sitting inside an office, I must admit. Not a 30-degree office, that's for sure. But pretty glorious for being out here. Sort of hovering around the high 20s, up to about 30, which to me is quite nice weather. But, the other job is to side shoot all the tomatoes. So I did a little bit yesterday when I was looking at them, but I really need to focus on fully getting these better trimmed out, because if you see over there, maybe there's massive side shoots coming out of that thing. So yeah, so just a bit of that, bit of trimming, and then hopefully I'll get home and edit the previous week's video, or whatever I've got for the previous week. There's a nice looking rock melon right there. As in the plant, not the fruit. It does seem to have the first little fruit forming though. But I won't even think about the fact that I've seen Charles Dowding's giant melons. But oh well. I think we're doing okay. Time to get snipping. Okay, now it's about 20 to 9. Done what I came down here for. That felt a bit wrong. All those pear fruit thinned out. That's probably about 2/3 of what's on that tree. There's still more than 3 dozen on there. That's the other variety. That needed less thinning. It wasn't so overloaded. So I've taken about 1/3 off that one. And we don't know what that variety is, whereas this one here we know is Concord pear. So there's still quite a lot of fruit on that tree. I've tended to leave only one per kind of node, I guess, if that's the word. And like I said, there's still a good 3 dozen fruit on this thing. So hopefully they work out. And that tree over there maybe still has too many on it. But I've thinned that out so that there's not sort of any two rubbing on each other. Yeah, might take a few more of that another day. And actually the main job I came down here for is this. And I tell you what, if you want a green thumb, grow cordon tomatoes. Look at that. Green fingers. Probably got it all over myself, but yes. So basically doing the usual job, trying to pull out all the side shoots. They had gone a bit over the top. But that's the side shoots done, except for any that have eluded me. There's always one or two. And I've also started to thin out down the bottom a bit so that we have good airflow at the lower level. And I've taken out this dried coriander. We'll have to put that in a bag or something to capture the seed. And this dill is going to have to come down and get out of the way for soon as well, because it's stunting this poor little tomato here, I think. But yeah, that's us done for today. Beautiful little evening, and time to go home.